Tell us about some of the stuff you've seen in the past at these G20 events with the police provocateurs, how they were identified, and what kind of divisive actions they caused so people can look out for it in the future.
Sure. My first experience with that was actually in 2007 in Montebello for the SPP summit. I went there to cover it, and that's when the infamous 3 agent provocateurs were caught red-handed, dressed up as aggressive protesters. They had the masks and the rocks in their hands, and the Quebec police ended up admitting to it. And they were totally caught red-handed, and it opened up Canadians' eyes to the fact that the Canadian government is willing to go to these lengths, these fascist lengths, in order to stifle and to silence a legitimate protest. So it's a common tactic that is being used to try to silence the people, and you know, there's no doubt that there's a good possibility that a lot of that took place at the G20 in Toronto. When you have a group like the Black Bloc, it's so perfectly convenient for that type of a situation. And as you'll see in our film Into the Fire, there are some very questionable clips where members of the Black Bloc can be seen running behind a police line where the police, are blocking off the protesters from the police, and you'll see a couple guys in Black Bloc clothing go running through the line. So that raises an eyebrow, and that gets us wondering, what exactly is going on? It's so hard when you have 22 different jurisdictions of police came into the city that day, that weekend, from all over Canada. So these guys they're not listening to their regular bosses. They're listening to the piece in their ear. When they're told to march west, they're going to march west. When they're told to go and kettle this small group of people, they're going to do it and not really question their orders. So that's another big part of the problem, and another way that the Black Bloc is able to go in and do their things. I mean, there was stand-down orders here in Toronto. Some of the police have come out and said, we were told, do not engage. So again, they were just listening to the piece in their ear, and I think a lot of the police around here felt that they themselves were manipulated. They had to carry out this Public Works Protection Act law, which ended up being a big lie. We were all led to believe that we couldn't film within 5 meters of this fence, and that we had to present our ID at pretty much any time. It turns out that's not the case. It turned out not to be true. Toronto Chief Bill Blair at the time came out and admitted, yeah, you know what? Well, I was just trying to keep the bad guys out, so we did what we had to do. So some of the things that went on at the G20 there in Toronto, just unbelievable. And we did our best to document the whole event pretty much chronologically throughout the entire weekend. So if you want to see it for yourself, we have it online. You can go on YouTube, just type in Into the Fire, and of course you can get the DVD at Infowars.com or PressForTruth.ca. And we encourage you to do that because we went all out on this particular DVD. We got hours and hours of extras, extended interviews, and a lot of special features and behind-the-scenes stuff. So if you want to support us, pick one up from PressForTruth.ca or Infowars.com. But if you'd like to just see it for yourself, just go onto YouTube and check it out, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
And, of course, it is important to support all the great Infowars activists out there. That's how we help build each other up and how we get that word out. That's how we reach everyone. And here we are at 3 o'clock. I believe that puts us 16 hours into this marathon transmission. I just want to make sure we thank all the people out there who've been giving money to us, who've been helping us grow, those who can't give money, spreading the word, sharing the link to this broadcast. It's not too late to do that. Also sharing all the free films that are out there from Alex Jones. We sell them on DVD also, but they're available on YouTube and the other platforms, Dan Dick's film and the rest of them. And it's so important to get that word out. Right now we see the current G20 meeting in Cairns. A lot of the protesters there say they're joining up with the Occupy protesters who are now worldwide. And then at the same time, we see in New York City, for instance, the police being bought really in many cases as a private security to work with the Wall Street firms to keep those protesters under check and just more generally to occupy the downtown area with their own surveillance and police state grid that is privately driven but also uses public resources. And so that's something to keep an eye on. But if you believe in this InfoWars mission, it's important you either donate or otherwise help us grow in one way or another. We have to reach more people while we still have time, while we have access to these wonderful platforms, the double-edged sword that technology gives us as things change and hopefully don't move further into this global state. You know, they've sold us on globalization, saying how great it is, that somehow, although it's flawed, it'll eventually become a benefit for everyone. But at the same time, we've seen a race to the bottom. Nobody really focuses on how they've shipped out the jobs, deindustrialized the U.S., shipped the jobs to China, where there's agreements for basically slave labor in many cases, and just really cheap products that don't build up the country. Something may be cheaper at Walmart, but it doesn't allow an interchange of decentralized independent businesses to grow. It doesn't. It sucks out really the backbone of America and leaves just that corporate facade running our whole country. That's everything has really kind of hollowed out in that way. It's time we admit it, and it's time we do something about it. Dan Dix, your comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Another area which the globalization is fast-tracking its way right now is in regards to the North American Union. I mean, this agenda has been on the table for a long, long time now. And recently, even in the last few weeks, a lot of things are coming together. I know I believe it's called the interstate, the I-69, pretty much the NAFTA superhighway, is nearing completion. That's definitely underway. And that's something that we have to be very aware of, cautious of, and vigilant of here in Canada, U.S., and Mexico. And again, that's another topic that we've covered in United We Fall, is this whole concept of those three countries coming in together, very similar to what we saw with the European Union. So yeah, they're ramping up their efforts as well. So that's why it is so important at this time to continue the fight. And I would encourage people also to do whatever you can to donate to the MoneyBomb at Infowars.com. It's amazing what you guys have been able to do in the 15 years that you've been doing this, and especially since last MoneyBomb, you've expanded your operation in such a huge way. It's very impressive. It's very encouraging. It's very awe-inspiring. And I want to encourage people to do the same as well, Aaron.
Yeah, and you mentioned the NAFTA superhighways. That's one of the many areas where we fought back. We've said no. We've told them we don't want this North American Union. They said it doesn't exist. People continue to bring out the agenda, and they've continued to play possum. I know here in Texas, there was really a rally cry that they had been defeated, that the whole project was somehow called off. But then if you drive down highways, I know I went down Highway 77 that goes down to South Padre Island and so forth, and it tells you how the new NAFTA super corridor is soon to be coming in, toll roads that they're putting up. So they're still moving this agenda forward, not always calling it what they originally were calling it. And with the larger North American Union, you've seen that fought back, but at the same time, you've seen greater border things coming forward, the stuff with the drug cartels. Fast and Furious ties into that. Dan Dix.
Yeah, of course, they're going to continue to tell us that this is going to be for our benefit. This is going to be beneficial for trade. It's going to move goods and services in and out of the countries quicker and easier. But again, this is the facade. This is what they're trying to make you believe. Really, it's all about, the end game is joining the three together. I mean, in our film United We Fall, we talked to a lot of the major players, a lot of the guys who are really involved in the push for this thing. We interviewed Bilderberg members and Trilateral Commission members and members of the CFR. We spoke with so many different people. We also got, a lot of activists like Luke Rudowski, and we spoke with Alex Jones and people like that. So the subtitle of the film is Three Nations, Two Sides, One Union, because we really wanted people to hear it from the horse's mouth so they can get an idea of what these guys are actually pushing for, and then also hear it from the alternative information side. To get that viewpoint out there as well. So if people are interested in learning about what this whole North American Union agenda is all about, again, I would encourage you to either check it out online. It's called United We Fall. You can find it on YouTube. And again, if you want to support Infowars.com or pressfortruth.ca, we'd ask that you grab the DVD. We got a lot of good special features on that one as well.
Yeah, and look what InfoWars has done over the years. We've talked about this, but we've given spotlights to people, like you said, like Luke Radowski, to yourself, to so many others, get people to become active, show what they can do, and then others come along as well. I mean, that's just two names. There's been hundreds of people who've moved through this platform, who've helped shine a light, and we continue to grow, so that's why it's important that you support us. Throughout history, there's been a trend that we are treated as feudal slaves, either outright slaves or tenant farmers of various kinds throughout the years. Information has always been a power for those ruling classes, and the people have never had that information. This 20th century, now the 21st century, has really been the first time that really everyone has had access. Of course, not everyone is illiterate, but everyone has the chance, really, at least in the Western world, maybe not in the third world. And this is a real chance that we have. 1776 is still new in history. It is not something old. The Bill of Rights enshrining our personal rights, our liberties, our right to free speech, our right to the Second Amendment, our right to the Fourth Amendment, which is being violated by TSA and so many other entities. That is all new to the slavery, to the tyranny that has been set in place for so long. And that's just one of many reasons we're in this fight, and we're in it together. But we have to do it right now. This is that short window of time where we can fight back with the tools that are out there. Primarily, I mean technology. And we've gone through all the eugenics. We've shown the social engineering. I can get more into it later. I've just been going over this Iserby stuff at the great lengths they've gone to not only tell us in their books what they think of us, how we're a separate species that's to be dumbed down, to be taught false information a la 1984, that really they believe they are the future, those few elites and their technocrats that work with them. And this is our only chance to fight back and say, no, we're human beings and we're going to be part of the future. And so that's the fight we're all part of. Dan, some of your closing comments, and then we have other stuff we're going to cover.
Yeah, sure. Again, back to what we were talking about. What Alex, one of the awesome things that he does is he inspires others out there to follow his example and do similar things. And there's no doubt that he has been integral to my entire awakening process and has, the whole direction of my life. He's certainly been an influence on that, and I thank you guys for that. And I have constantly been trying to pick up my efforts ever since 2005, 2006, trying to figure out ways to reach more people and to do this better and just get better at it. Again, I dove in head first, not really knowing what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to do my best. And I'm getting to a point now where I want to take it to a next level as well. So I'm working on a new website that I would hope that people would check out. I'm hoping to launch this thing in the first day of 2012, in January 1st, and it's going to be pressfortruth.tv. And if people like what I'm doing, you like my work, you want to support what I'm doing, please go check out pressfortruth.tv. It's not going to be ready for another until January. But this is another way that I'm going to be able to do this work, this very, very important work, and just continue to spread this information.
And, of course, we've said this already, but we do have to support each other. I mean, just look at all the things the Rockefeller, the Gates Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation have done to literally steer entire education movements, entire developments of science and technology, which direction the research is going, where the global agreements are going, how the United Nations and its related entities and organs develop and come out of the out of the darkness into dominance they've tried to establish. It's all coordinated through their central funding. They've paid money to try to destroy records. Iserby talks about this, not in the video we'll be playing later, but in other parts, I think in part 1, how they tried to buy up and destroy the only copies of the hearings on the roll of foundations in our country.